We've got to talk about Greg Gutfield because, yeah, he absolutely went nuclear on Jessica Tarlov. I believe that's her last name, Jessica Tarlov, because of what she said. And y'all have to hear it because it is absolutely wild. I'm actually kind of shocked that he said it. You know, pretty crazy. Like he clearly had enough. Now this clip is going viral right now. It's everywhere. I've seen clips of this everywhere at this point. But with that being said, let's dive in.
Yes, we don't need it. What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know.
What about
There's absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked about?
You want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
She doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your what about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no...
It does not apply at all.
No cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with...
I believe a future president, right? I definitely think, you know, within the next 20 years, Charlie Kirk probably would have been the president. For sure. Let me know if y'all agree with that.
Rationalizations. We are calm. We are honest and we are resolute. We're not defensive. And I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact of this, your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear, and I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was horrified by it. I have not been on the five
but
since
the two
then,
sides argument, well, it's like pig Latin to a duck.
No. All that I was saying is could we have all of the information before you just say they did this? Because that is a broad brush.
We have enough of the information already. Like, what more do we need? What more do we need?
This kid.
Let's have a conversation.
No,
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. Look.
Wow. Yeah. That hits deep. Charlie had a conversation and he got shot. That's the guy that they wanted to take out. Not the politician, which I guess they already tried with Uncle Trump multiple times. Okay, or at least a couple times that we know of. There was rumors of a third time, but I think it got foiled. But anyway, we know of at least twice, right? Uncle Trump. But you took out the guy that said, prove me wrong. That's the guy you took out. And leftist response to that is, well, but blah, 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 blah. Or you blaming them is means that you're transphobic or thisophobic or dataphobic, and it's just absolutely crazy. Simply because you want to try to label us something doesn't mean that we're hateful of this group or that group, or if we criticize a group of individuals doesn't mean that we hate that. Oh, well, you just hate the LGBTQ. No. And as a matter of fact, in my own case, I hang out with the gay couple every 4th of July. Doesn't mean I agree with their lifestyle. Not something I would ever engage in. But it also doesn't mean that we can't be friends. What a crazy concept, right? But we're always accused of being the hateful and nasty individuals, right? Oh, because you criticize this group of people, oh, you hate them. No, we don't. Just because you disagree with something or you criticize something doesn't mean that you hate it. And when people automatically resort to that, it just means that they can't refute any of your arguments.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold. And I'm sorry, but this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good. And we all have to deal with that. So that means we can't live by the same arguments that you might be reading about relativism among the media. We can't deal with those stories. It doesn't matter. The media is dead to us on this story. They built this thing up. We're dealing with it. We're going to act. We don't care what the whataboutism is anymore. That shit's dead. Sorry. For the swearing as well. I apologize to the American public. I'm going to shut up for the rest of the show.
Yeah, you could tell. He was sick of the nonsense. Absolutely sick of it. And so am I, right? You recently had a prominent left-winger, right, say some of the most, just the most vile thing on the internet. The most vile thing on the internet. I'm going to play this clip from Destiny because he recently went on the Piers Morgan show, and this is just absolutely disgusting. It is terrible. This guy should be getting a visit from the FBI. For sure. Cash Patel, Dan Bongino. Y'all need to be paying this man a visit. Seriously. Here's the clip. This is just one thing that he said, because there's more.
I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term. Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not...
If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president the second time. Really? That's what you think? That sounds like a threat to me, right? Now, obviously, he didn't say that specifically. He said it in a roundabout way. At least that's what it sounded like to me. And y'all can let me know how you feel about it in the comments. But to me, that sounded like if you vote for somebody that we don't like, we will do what it is that we see fit. And if that means pine boxing one of yours, then so be it. That's what that sounded like to me. Now, once again, y'all can let me know how you feel about it in the comments, but that sounded like a threat. If you wanted that man to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president. You shouldn't have voted the way that you voted if you wanted him to be alive. Really? Is that where we are in this country? Because of who we voted for, we all deserve to die now all of a sudden? Once again, that's not exactly what he said, but to me, that's what it sounded like. I want to make that clear. Really. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. That's not all that he said, though. I want to play this clip.
You need conservative.
Hold on. I think I got this playing at double speed. This is something else that he said.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature.
Really? We should live in fear because of who we chose to lead our party. We should be living in fear. We should have to fear going to events. Really? And then, of course, mainstream media will get on the television and say that we're the nasty and terrible ones. We're the threats. But you have left-wingers openly, mind you, openly. This isn't like a closed-door conversation. This isn't like a... And then somebody leaked, hey, yo, I had a conversation with Destiny the other day, bro. You know what this man said? You know, this ain't that. Like, you watched him say it. They feel comfortable saying stuff like that on the internet. Absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. Because I guarantee you, if one of us were to say the same thing, it'd be all over mainstream media news. MAGA right extremist, all over. But do you how much news coverage do you think that clip is going to get on mainstream media? How much coverage? Over under 3 minutes. Over under 3 minutes. I'm going to bet the under. Nobody is going to run that. Not a single mainstream media news channel is going to run that. And that's why they're not the news anymore. They're a political wing of the they're a wing of the Democrat Party. That is it, and that is all. Because if they were actually the news, they would do the same thing that they would have done to us if we were to say something vile and disgusting like that. They would air this and denounce it. But they aren't the news anymore, unfortunately, in this country. It's crazy, right? Absolutely crazy. That people get on the internet and say stuff like that. Disgusting. Disgusting. Especially when you consider what just happened. Absolutely disgusting. Nobody should be dying over what they believe in. Not a single soul. Right? I don't care how much you disagree. Even Joe Biden. Y'all know I'm not a Biden fan. I've never rejoiced, right? I didn't rejoice over his cancer diagnosis. I was a little annoyed that we found out way after the fact. And don't get me wrong, I might have chuckled over him, tripping over a sandbag or two. But I would never rejoice over this man dying. Absolutely disgusting. Or even say that, or even, I don't even want to repeat it, or even say what he said about the left. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. I'm friends with some folks on the left, right? With Democrats. I hang out with some Democrats, right? There should be no place for that in this country. No place. But y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about all of this. Man. Crazy world we live in, huh? Peace.